my manager had kind of always said, we just need that one piece of work, Phil. Just need that one thing, that we can really shout about.
How has Origins changed your life?
Oh, that's a big question. It has changed it in terms of personally, the film has brought that hunger back, that maybe was becoming a little bit tired to all the frustrations of making film and doing it for so long and not quite getting there, wherever there is, and now I feel revitalized and refreshed and just kind of, reborn in a way, in terms of, wow, if we can pull that off, then actually we can make some really cool stuff. And I feel like I finally made something that is very me, which I know is a weird thing to say when you're kind of riffing off existing films and things, but hopefully it still has some of my personality and my perspective, in that film. It's not just a shot-for-shot rip-off of, things that we love. I think what has changed is opening the doors. So I was lucky to already have a manager, a wonderful manager in LA. So I always had a certain amount of access to, to people, but my manager had kind of always said, we just need that one piece of work, Phil. Just need that one thing, that we can really shout about. And maybe it's a commercial, maybe it's a short, maybe it's one of these features, maybe it's something, but, you sort of, I've made all this stuff, but I hadn't quite had something that we could bet the houses on, and I was, for years in our relationship, with my manager, it has always been, what is that thing? And suddenly this is that thing, this is definitely that thing that we send out. And then to send that out and have, sit down with, be invited to Amblin, and sit down there and have conversations with those guys about films and films that I want to make. And just suddenly it's like Mecca, right? It's like being back at the heart of everything that you love, that was very special. And just now, I feel that I have a piece of work that, raises the eyebrow enough for people to want to pick up that phone, to want to read that script, to want to kind of, so I think, it's been a little bit frustrating with COVID and the industry, and we all know what's been happening, depending on when you're watching this. But, we all, everything is a little bit up in the air at the moment. So it's very hard to get new things off the ground. But hopefully it's a film that lasts, and it will go on to allow me to talk to interesting people. I mean, the thing is like, without that film, I never would have sat down Amblin. I never would have sat down with some producers who, are like heroes of mine that have made films that I love, and actually have genuine conversations about the kind of things that we want to make. Those would have never happened. So it's already kind of, in inverted commas, paying off in that way as an introduction, Am I directing the next Jurassic World 5? Exclusive? No, I'm not. Yet. But at least hopefully it's some proof that I could if I had the opportunity. And who knows what's around the corner. Who knows who's watching it right now. People seem to keep discovering it all the time. And there's a few people I can't mention who have seen it that I'm like, wow, that's how have you seen this film? It's amazing. That's the beauty of the internet and YouTube and putting yourself out there, that these things take a life of their own and people share it, and and you never know what desk that is going to arrive on. And that's really exciting now, is to kind of think what's possible next, on that journey to being the Hollywood director, inverted commas, which I, wanted to do since I was 8,
Well, in that vein, how confident are you that you'll be hired to direct a Hollywood movie in the next few years? Let's say COVID somehow, however it's going to work itself out, if it does, hopefully. How do you envision yourself working as a Hollywood director?
I mean, yes. I mean, I've always kind of pictured myself doing it from the beginning, but now I feel that I have a piece of work that maybe, I don't know, alleviates fears or reservations or anything like that. It's like, okay, well, if you can do that film, then maybe you can do this film. And that's very exciting. And yeah, I mean, 100%, I hope I am in the next few years. And based on, a few conversations that are happening at the moment, obviously being a bit stalled and difficult because of COVID. But if any one of these things happen, then, that'll happen fairly quickly. I realize I'm probably shooting myself in the foot by saying this out loud on YouTube right now. So I can eat my words in 10 years and I'm like, oh, Phil, what were you thinking? But you've got to be positive, right? You've got to be optimistic about it. Because there's already so many no's and negativity and difficult things to navigate to kind of get to wherever that is you want to be. And if you don't sort of believe in what you're doing, then that makes the whole thing even worse. So yeah, I mean, I feel like I've already put money on it because it cost a lot of money to make Origins. So I feel like I've already placed my bet. So whether that hopefully pays off, we will see. But I hope so.
If Hollywood doesn't happen, can you still make a living as an independent filmmaker?
If the Hollywood dream doesn't happen, then now I can wholeheartedly say, well, I tried. Do you know what I mean? There isn't another short film. There isn't another version of Origins that you would make, right? You just put your store out there, you put everything into it, and you go, there you go. And you hope that maybe things come back. You just got to put it all out there. And one of the reasons for taking that risk in making the film financially and professionally, because, if you make the column A and column B of reasons to make it, reasons not to make it, the reasons not to make it is way bigger on paper than it is to make it, from practical perspectives. But it's, but I also thought do you know what? If I don't make it, I don't try, I'll always regret it. And I don't, and I felt like I could probably live with the kind of Hollywood dream, to inverted commas, to not happen, having tried, then always wondering, well, what if I did make that film? Because it's still a very rewarding experience, right? From the things I've talked about in terms of the comments and the connections to people and people over the world watching it. And that's what you make films for, right? Of course, you don't really set out to self-finance the films and also not be allowed to actually profit from them because obviously it's not your IP, like it's Lucasfilm and Disney's IP. So you can't even, generate any income from it. So, but yeah, I've still got ideas and still ways of making independent film. And I don't think it's all reliant on doing the big studio deal, but I feel that I'm sort of done making really low budget films, because I feel like I've sort of done that and kind of got the t-shirt, unless it was something, script that was beautifully interesting or again ambitious and challenging, then that would be great to do. But yeah, I feel I feel like I'm going around the houses with this answer because I've not actually maybe articulated or said it out loud. It's the first time I'm thinking about it properly. But genuinely, I'm like, it would obviously be frustrating because I've always wanted to make those big, huge films. But it is like winning the lottery and then some. But yeah, I wouldn't have any regrets now having made it, because I'm still going to carry on making films, right? Whatever films they are, I don't know. But at least I've sort of scratched that itch by making Origins to this sort of scale ambition the way we have done.
Do you wish feature films paid as well as commercials?
Yeah, I mean, it'd be great if like low budget independent film paid as much as commercials. Yeah, I mean, I'm very lucky to, make commercials and be busy making commercials, touch wood. And I've been doing that now for 15 years. I directed my first paid commercial when I was 20. So I've been doing it quite a long time and surviving doing it so far. And yes, it'd be great. I mean, when you get into the big tentpole side of thing with big risk and big budget becomes, a bigger upside, bigger salaries for directors and stuff at that level. So they would probably, or they would dwarf a commercials fee. But it's a hard life. I mean, on all the indie features I've made, I've still made commercials because I put everything on the screen, really. I just paid myself, or was paid a small amount because I was like, well, no, let's get that thing. Let's get an extra day. Whatever that thing is. At that moment, it's all about making the film, and commercials have enabled that because I'm busy and that's how I make my living. I mean, I don't know how like full-time indie producers survive. Like that's a hard life, getting a paycheck every X amount of years when you make something. I don't know how they do that. I don't know, but people do it. So I guess I'm lucky with the commercials. I mean, to call it a safety net is making it sound very reliable, but again, things can change. Look at COVID, look at lockdowns, look at the industry, things can change like that. So I'm just lucky that I have that currently.